OUAI is making it so easy to give way better gifts this holiday. Their hair and body products are specifically designed to customize a routine that works for you and personalize a gift for everyone on your list. So get on your way to save for the holiday. Go to TheOuai, TheOuai.com for 15% off site-wide and enter promo code JUICY. That's TheOuai, TheOuai.com for 15% off with code JUICY.
Heather McDonald has got the juiciest scoop. When you're on the road, when you're on the go, Juicy Scoop is the show to know. She talks Hollywood tales, her real life Mr. Segment serial data, and serial sister. You'll be addicted and addicted fast to the #1 tabloid real life podcast. Listen in, listen up. Woo woo. Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop.
Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. Today I have return guest, a real friend, also a podcasting friend, Kate Casey from Reality Life with Kate Casey. Welcome back to Juicy Scoop.
Thank you. Good to be back. Good to be back.
My gosh, we've known each other for a long time.
I know, like almost a decade now.
Yes.
Yeah.
To remind you, because you know I have a weird memory.
Yeah.
Incredible memory. So I think that somehow I found you on Twitter, or you tagged me, or you sent something
I
to
tagged
me,
you on Twitter.
and you would take Real Housewives episodes and write the most hilarious, dramatic recaps,
Yeah.
almost like I was reading Shakespearean Cliff Notes,
Right.
where it's like, and then so-and-so whispered, and they were conniving behind someone's back. And I was like, this is so funny. And you know, and then we would talk on the phone all the time. And then you were like, how do I get more people to read this blog? I'm like, no one's reading a blog.
That's right.
You need to do a podcast.
That's right. Yep. That's exactly right.
And now look at you, all grown
Now
up.
look at me.
All grown up, successful show for so many years. Everyone loves your show. And mother of 5.
Mother of 5.
Still married to the first husband.
No, the second one.
Oh, wait.
Remember? There was
That's
the
right.
first
Oh,
one.
you had a little starter marriage.
I had a starter marriage.
For
Yeah.
those that don't know, a starter marriage is when you get married and you don't stay very long and you don't have any kids. And
Yeah.
then you have a second marriage in which you stay, it produces kids. So your
Yeah.
5 kids are with one baby
With
daddy.
one husband, but my son, who's my number 2, just said to number 3 the other day, you know, Mom was married before.
Oh, that always
And
freaks
I was
kids
like-
out. When something like that and they don't know.
I was like, oh God, this is uncomfortable. And she went, oh, okay. And and then they rolled through it. They didn't think it was a big deal.
That is so funny. That is so crazy. When a kid doesn't know. Okay, well, we've got a lot of things to discuss.
Yes,
a
we do.
lot
Okay.
of
Yeah.
crazy things have happened. Let's get into. They have arrested the person of suspect or whatever of interest, strong interest. This good-looking guy who is supposedly, allegedly, the assassin of the CEO of United Healthcare. You know the story. Shot in broad daylight. He died. He was 50. He and his wife were living separately. People were talking that she didn't seem overly upset.
Well,
There
how
were
do they
so
know?
many- there's so many weird
Someone called
things.
their house and asked for her statement, and she gave a short one. Would you want someone to like sob on the phone? She's probably in shock.
And then, of course, there were so many like videos of guys that looked like this guy wearing the outfit and doing little funny parodies, like coming home with a backpack and someone being like, I don't think you should be wearing that jacket. And this kind of thing. The jacket is on sale at Macy's right now.
Macy's. Oh, wow.
And he went to Ivy League school.
He went to Gilman, which is an incredible school in Baltimore. It's $40,000 a year. It's all boys.
That's high school?
It's a high school.
That was
and he was the valedictorian.
Yes.
And then he went to UPenn.
Oh. But he was an anti-capitalist.
Anti-capitalist.
And, like follower of a lot of things. And
well, 2 things. One is that he had grandparents that died in like 2013, 2017 that some have said that may be part of this.
What triggered
bigger
his
story?
hatred for this, yeah.
Somebody also went, they scour the internet when they find out who somebody is. And someone found his Goodreads account, which is this.
What is that?
It's like a website where you can rate books and give your reviews. And he gave 4 stars to a book about Ted Kaczynski, who was the infamous Unabomber. So it'll be interesting to unload, like, what happened to this guy? How do you go from Gilman and UPenn to an anti-capitalist who is capable of something like this?
And with the monopoly money, and what was
that about?
I don't
That
know.
is
And
so
then also
weird.
the bullets being engraved, denied, oppose. Yeah. What is it? Decline, denied, oppose. And I guess that was a title of a book.
A book about insurance.
Yeah. And what was weird, though, from the beginning was originally it looked like he was wearing a black jacket with a very light tan backpack.
Mm-hmm.
Then they said, we found the backpack, and the backpack was black or dark gray.
Mm-hmm.
And then the jacket was said to be green. It was like there was a lot of that where before this arrest that happened this morning, there were people speculating, like, what is this? Is this,
Yeah.
And they're like, we're looking for him. There's a $10,000 reward. And everyone's like, only $10,000? Like,
Yeah,
are
that
they
was
even
surprising. $10,000. That doesn't really seem
Are
like
they even
much.
trying to find him? And then the city bike thing, and then the hostel, and going to Starbucks and McDonald's, and like also being good looking. And then they did the lookalike contest, like just like they had done with Timothy Chalamet. Like,
Yeah.
they did. And
Well, I called my one friend, and he used to be a Capitol Hill cop, and I asked him what he thought, because at first it looked like somebody who seemed like blue-eyed and a little bit more fair, and then when they showed the picture of the assassin smiling, it looked like 2 different people. So I asked him what he thought, and he said the New York City Police Department is not only incredible, but there are cameras throughout that city, and they're 3 steps ahead. So even when they say they're still looking for someone, they probably already know the identity.
Oh, that's
and that is
interesting.
to throw the person off to think. And then there were
like you
reports
made
today,
it, you're
like you're
safe.
fine,
Yeah.
you're safe.
Yeah, oh,
so
that's
they
good.
trip up and make mistakes. And then someone wrote, well, based on this, I assess that this person's pretty arrogant. Well, yeah, I would assume so. So yeah, he probably thought he had gotten away with it. Although the weird thing is they found him in Altoona, which is about 100 miles east of Pittsburgh. And he was found at a McDonald's, and it was because an elderly patron had noticed him. So, I mean,
and she called in.
I don't know if it was a man or a woman, but they called the police and said something along the lines of, I think that may be the person who was the assassin. And they quickly brought, law enforcement out and made an arrest. And then they found that he had 4 fake IDs. He had a silencer. What I thought was creepy was they said that the actual gun was made with a 3D printer. So that, to me, is terrifying.
Oh, my God. Well, first of all, I feel like we are living in like a 1995 movie. Like,
I know.
I feel like everything is just so weird and bizarre. And what you were saying, you called 911 back in the day.
So on September 11th, one thing about me is I have this very weird thing. I have a crazy memory, and I'm very good with details about people. So on 9/11, my sister was in one of the buildings, World Trade Center 7, so I was fixated on all the news reports.
But she's
fine. But they showed the first pictures from the first plane that was hit, and I immediately recognized Mohammed Atta, who was the lead terrorist. And I had remembered exactly where I was. I lived in this apartment complex when I was with the first husband, who was in the military, in Virginia Beach. It was this apartment complex called Runaway Bay Apartments. And across the street was this sort of like a mom and pop kind of mail depot. And I turned around and walked past him. And it was like seared into my memory. It was the way he looked at me. I remember I actually walked away and said out loud, well, that guy doesn't like me. It was like that kind of experience where you're like, you could tell someone is just really quite hateful.
And so when you called...
I called on 9/11 because I called my mom.
Actual day.
I called my mother and said, I know exactly where I was when I saw that man. And she said, call the FBI. So I called the FBI, the regional office. I said, I saw him on April 3rd. It was at this spot. And it was about 6 months later, there was a news report in Virginia Beach that he had been staying at a hotel that was about a quarter of a mile from that mail depot in my apartment complex in Virginia Beach. And then years later, I interviewed this oral biographer of 9/11, and in the research for that, prepping for that interview, I found this news clip that had said that they had assessed that he and another terrorist had been living in Virginia Beach. What they wanted to do was fill a vessel with explosives and go into the port in Norfolk. But it said something in the article, like a tip about April 3rd, 2001 led to them sort of unraveling this whole story.
Oh, did that make you feel good?
Kind of, but it makes you just realize, even with this story, that I think, especially now where we are so attuned to true crime stories, that we're all sort of like part of this like citizen justice movement.
Right.
Where I think people are paying far more attention than they have ever paid before and kind of want to feel like they're part of solving something.
There was the whole, see something, say something, what happened after 9/11, but then it became seen as, don't be racist. And then there was the whole, then we didn't want to be accused of being a Karen.
Right.
And now I feel like Karens are going to come back. I think we're going to make a comeback and people are going to realize that you want a Karen around. You want a couple Karens around to get some shit done and to
well, now you think about that assassin that was in McDonald's. Like, did he have more plans? We don't know.
Yeah. Did he have other people?
That person in
his
McDonald's
list?
just squelched that plan.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And because essentially to not be a Karen is to mind your own business and move the fuck along. Well, if you mind your own business and move the fuck along, then you're not calling. And so sometimes a hero can be a Karen. Anyway, in McDonald's. So we'll see what goes on. Now, okay, there's more Diddy news. This was a crazy sketch. This person posted it. It's called V. Marchbanks. Posted this video that was on Mad TV. And said this was 16 years ago. Oh, and it's a sketch on Mad TV, and I watched it. It's shocking, okay? So it's a parody of Hannah Montana. So one girl is playing Hannah Montana, and the other girl's playing her friend.
It's not Mo Collins, is it?
No, these are, I forgot the two girls' names. Okay. But anyway, one is, and so you see like the opening Hannah Montana, and the one girl goes, where were you last night? And they do this dumb dialogue of that. Oh, and, in the day I'm a middle school student, but at night I'm a pop star. Well, after the awards show, since she's a secret pop star, this is what the character says, I went to a P. Diddy party. And they literally, in this sketch, basically share everything. This one star, they say Matthew McConaughey made me smell his armpit, where there are rumors that that's Leonardo DiCaprio, that's something that he does. And in all of these things that were going on 16 years ago, this sketch from Mad TV depicts it.
Oh my gosh.
With people, creepy stuff and girls dancing and eating off of girls and all this other kind of stuff. And then Hannah Montana is there and the comments are like, oh my God. Well, of course, when you're a Hollywood writer, you do know a lot of shit.
Right.
And, and that's why people are like, how did the Simpsons know this? Or how are these things in here? And it's like, but this is so dead
because
on.
Sometimes you have to,
crazy.
Sometimes you have to hide the truth in comedy because that's the only way people can take it.
And then I was saying, I saw another thing that someone posted from an episode of Ellen. Well, Ellen had P. Diddy on so much. They're really good friends. And there's old videos of him with Twitch, rest in peace. A lot of people still wonder what went on with Twitch. And Ellen, and he's like, Ellen, we go way, way, way back. So you better. And then the camera goes and Twitch is like,
eek. Are you
giving
serious?
like a weird look. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about, P. Diddy. Okay,
oh boy.
There's that clip. Then there's another one.
Wow.
That was like, well, this didn't age well. And Ellen's there with a bunch of kids that are clearly suffering from cancer or going through cancer treatment. Young, like all of them are under like 14. And she's like, but, I don't know who might be here. And then the thing's open and he's like, hey, and P. Diddy comes out and the kids go running and hugging them. And like the comment is like, God, just when you thought you were safe, like this didn't age well. And it's amazing. It's amazing. And now they say, and all this I found on TikTok, and now they say TikTok is going to be gone in January.
I don't think so.
Well, I've accumulated over 400,000 followers, and
So do you want to say goodbye to them now?
I feel okay about it. I feel like whatever is meant to be, life's rejection is God's protection. I spend so much time on it.
Yeah.
And I love it so much. And it's time that I get back to reading books and watching TV and movies again. And so I'm kind of like, if it's meant to go away, then fine. Because last night, so we'll talk about what's going on with
Over
P. Diddy
time,
first.
you have definitely enjoyed a TikToker or two that I've been like, huh?
I have found,
Yeah.
I have found some really great stuff. I've also been highly criticized for bringing up TikTok content. No one cares about Balenciaga anymore. Like that was a big deal. Now everyone's buying it and acting like 2 years ago didn't happen. So I'm like, whatever. But it brings me a lot of joy. There's a lot of comedy on there. There's a lot of clever things. There's a lot of things that make me happy to be on it. That's different than Instagram.
What is going to happen to the choreographers of the world? Are they going to feel like this is a complete letdown? Because I feel like when I'm on TikTok, real success is being able to do a choreographed like 20-second to like Apt by like Bruno Mars and
that's where it started.
Yeah.
But then it's so in tune with what you are into and what you like. I never see dances.
Yeah. Oh,
I see a lot of comedy. I see a lot of like feel good things. And then once you watch a couple of something, then it keeps coming. So like whether it's the P. Diddy stuff or something else, then you get a lot, and you have to, and it's literally like eating a bag of potato chips, and you have to go, stop. Okay, it's 9:42. Okay, at 9:50, I'll stop. But then I'll come across something, and I'm like, oh, that is really interesting, and I do use it here because I do bring it up. But anyway, let's get into the latest Diddy thing. What a juicy year it's been. And you know what? I deserve something for myself. So I am going to go shopping for others, but I am also going to go to BlueNile.com because I am looking for some new jewelry, and there is no better place. Whether you're looking for a sparkle, just something special, a gift, maybe a pair of earrings for a loved one, Nile offers some of the highest quality standards in the industry at prices significantly below traditional retail. So maybe you're thinking of just springing for that piece. Maybe you want to upgrade your diamond, your ring, or just get something totally unique and different. You can design that. You can use different kinds of metals with different kinds of stones. It makes it so fun and so great. And you can also get 30-day returns and diamond price match guarantee. So you can't beat the ease and convenience of shopping Blue Nile or the selection. They've got thousands of independently graded diamonds for you to sift through. I'm looking at the Blue Nile website for colored gems. I really think that's fun. I think you can make a unique item with that. And those are the kind of things you get the compliments from. When you've got an aquamarine or an emerald, something like that is what really pops. Go to BlueNile.com to shop Blue Nile, the original online jeweler since 1999. That's BlueNile.com, BlueNile.com. Lipo used to be such a bad word. But we're also supposed to act like we love every part of our body. And sometimes you just have that stubborn spot that you just hate. It's BS. And you deserve to get the body you want. I've, had a couple kids. There's things that I would like to change. And I know how hard it is for so many of us. Our friends at Sonabella are offering you their best deal. You're now included in their friends and family holiday savings events. You'll get the same price that Sonabella family and friends pay, but appointments are limited. So please get on this. Sonabella doctors are masters at micro laser fat removal, a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently. So wherever your problem area is, tummy, love handles, thighs, arms, it's gone in one comfortable visit. Can you believe it? I mean, that is what I think really sounds so amazing and convenient. Eating healthy and working out are great. We know that. Keep doing that. But if you want to lose that stubborn fat in that one visit, check out Sonabella. Save big during Sonabella's Friends and Family Holiday Savings event. Schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/juicy. That's Sonobello, BELLO.com/juicy. So there is a lawsuit, another lawsuit of a woman claiming that at 17, she was invited to go to a party where the head of P. Diddy's company said, "You're really hot. Would you like to fly on a private jet and go to a party with P. Diddy?" There, the story is the story we've heard now a lot. Given a drink, made her feel woozy, and was assaulted. And she was 17 at the time. And in her lawsuit, they said on his side, well, you can't be anonymous. And she goes, fine. And so there's a photo of her at the party at 17. And the identity is she was National Hockey League star Evander Kane's ex-wife, Anna Kane. And
Such an upsetting story.
So she's like, fine, I'm not gonna. You're making me not be anonymous. Fine, I won't be anonymous because I want this to be heard. So that is her story. Really disturbing, and of course, P. Diddy's people are denying everything, but it's very interesting that she was approached. Where was she? She said she was gang, RAPED, by Diddy and others in 2003 when she was just a high school junior. And she was approached by Harvey Pierre, who was the president of Bad Boy Entertainment at the time, told she was hot, and just, horrible. So now we know that. Then another thing came, the Jay-Z stuff. So now Jay-Z is being named in this Busby, who's the attorney that has all the cases. This girl who was 13 in 2000 said she went to an after party of the MTV Movie Awards and that she was assaulted by Jay-Z.
This is an amended complaint. So this was the lawsuit that was filed in October. He was not named in that. It was just P. Diddy.
Oh.
And they referred to celebrity A and B. So this is an amended. So now she has chosen to name Jay-Z.
So it was filed by an accuser identified as Jane Doe, and she alleges that the assault occurred at an MTV Video Music Awards after party in 2000 with an unnamed female celebrity who allegedly witnessed the incident. And so she's saying that it was he who did it, along with Diddy.
Yes. First, she named just Diddy and referred to celebrity A and celebrity B. One was a man, one was a woman. So this amended complaint she's filing, she's naming Jay-Z. Now, what I thought was interesting, I worked in crisis media litigation for 16 years. I found surprising his statement last night that he put out.
So his statement it came from him, not from his attorney. It
Clearly.
came from his business. And to summarize it, he basically said, I'm not giving you one red penny. This is a letter of blackmail extortion. This is, horrible. And if this was to have really happened to a child, why is this not a criminal complaint? You're just, going after my money. Now I have to explain to my own 3 kids that there's these allegations out there and shame on you. And I'm not, So, and why do you think that's right? Because I actually disagree. Well, I actually think I thought it was kind of good. Whether it's true or not, I thought it was kind of a good move.
I did not, because it looked like he was a non-compliant client, because he is a fantastic law firm. I would assume that they were so confused.
Who was a non-compliant?
Jay-Z. He seemed to me in that statement like a non-compliant client.
What does that mean?
Meaning like they're not listening to legal counsel. Counsel would probably say to him, let us prepare a statement.
Oh, okay.
Let us work through this statement. He put out a very lengthy statement. It was very personal. There were capital words in it, exclamation marks. It did not look professional. It looked like it was sent right out, highly emotional. Legal counsel would never recommend doing that. So that makes me think, if he's not going to take advice on a press release, are they listening? Is he listening to his counsel?
But I would say, if you want to believe Jay-Z that he is innocent, as someone who's been reading all this and hearing all the, accounts from the TikTok to the Jaguar right to all this, He's been named a lot in the last couple months. A lot of stories have been thrown around.
I'm sure,
horrific stuff,
and it's
that
probably
he's
emotional,
there.
but you should still put out a professional press statement.
That's
not the way I would have worded it
Right.
if I was his counsel.
And I mean, I was on Lala's show, Lala Kent's show, and we talked a little bit about it. And she said when she was out here visiting from Utah, she was like 16 having lunch with somebody. And this guy, it was like at a restaurant, like in Santa Monica. And a car went by and they were like sitting out where you could see her. And then the car came around. The guy got out and said, do you want to go to a Jay-Z party tonight? She might have even been like 14. Anyway, she didn't go. Mm-hmm. But now, I mean, I believe that happened to Lala. Was this guy lying? Was he really going to bring her to a poo-poo's party? Like, he just throwing this guy's name around? I don't know. But there's so many accounts of young girls saying that they had something to do with him or he was participatory or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I think if I was going to be pro Jay-Z, I would say, this is a man who was passionate because he was like, all right, this is a freaking enough. I'm not going to sit here with all these rumors that are swirling around the internet. This is bullshit. I've never done anything like this. Screw all these people that are jumping on the bandwagon and speaking like this isn't true. I'm not even talking to a lawyer because I am going to scream from the rooftops that I didn't do this.
You can write a response where you refute it, but I would have worded it so it was, first of all, far less, it wouldn't be as lengthy. Mm-hmm. And it just seemed...
I thought it was really weird when he went...
It just seemed like it was rambling. I'm telling you, as I'm saying, it makes me wonder. I worked with a lot of attorneys who worked with high-profile clients, and they were non-compliant clients. Okay, and that's really hard.
I would disagree that he did have help writing this. I think it's really weird that he was like, you're a Marine, and Marine, meaning the attorney, is a Marine, and you were a Marine.
You think someone helped him write that?
I do.
I do not.
I
no
do.
Way.
Because I was like, bringing up that made people think, yeah, bring up the Marine thing, that you respect military, and then you'll get those people you.
Maybe not a professional person helped
No, that's
him.
what I'm saying. Maybe not a professional person.
But
I
that's
think
not in agreement to what your counsel would tell you to do.
Right.
He is a very successful person. He has a number of attorneys. He has managers. He has lots of people who would never want him to go off script. So that's surprising to me.
Yeah. So we will see.
Yeah.
Because, these are all things that I've heard. Now, P. Diddy attended the 2000 Music Video Awards. I don't know if they went together, but at the time he was dating J-Lo, and J-Lo's been mentioned. Where was she during all this time? That's when she was wearing like the white headband and the pants and everything. Doesn't mean that she was there. Doesn't mean this is true, whatever. But, there's stories swirling around her. Well, at one point, will she like put out a statement like, enough of this bullshit. Like, I dated him for a little bit. I realized he was bad news. Well, that's why we broke up, and nothing happened.
Unless she's
named
in a lawsuit.
Right.
There really is no reason
that's why I don't think
she
is, because she hasn't been named in anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
isn't it wild in the year 2024, we are now fixated on an award show that happened in 2000. Like, people are going to be looking through all of that footage, like the Zapruder film, looking to see who attended.
Yeah.
And what happened. And it's 24 years ago.
Yeah, and you know who's doing that? The people on TikTok.
Yeah, no kidding. Right.
Also on TikTok. So last night, I got down this hole of all these people in New Jersey and other cities that for the last couple days have been filming what they say are SUV-sized drones. They believe they're drones, but they're like that big. Where they can see them, like too low to be an airplane in their neighborhoods. However, it's hard to see. It's not great footage, and the comments are like, "What in the iPhone 4 is this? Like what? Like what is? Who's filmed what?" And so then everyone's like, "Is this a conspiracy theory? Are these even real people that are filming it? Like, Are they like, what is the whole point? And so there's a conspiracy that no one should be worried. There is no UFOs coming. This isn't another country. This isn't, China or Russia. This is this other thing called the blue something, which was this theory that came out in the 90s. That's like the world's governments will get together and they will stage a alien invention. This is conspiracy.
Stupid.
I am not saying I believe this.
Okay.
I am telling you what's out there so you could.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at this. Nobody's texting me and going, Heather, are you scared that we're going to die tomorrow? Like, what? There's literally videos. And I saw one for Orange County. I saw one in all. It wasn't just New Jersey. And I'm like, what? So then I see this one where they actually made a statement.
Okay.
But then also I'm like, I don't know, is this real? So,
it's South Jersey? Well, maybe. I'm from Philly, so that is
4 to
possible.
8 drones, SUV size blinking lights. They're just like, nobody's worried. No one, the military is not getting involved, but they're also not saying, hey, it's us. They're not saying it's another country.
Yeah. It's just sophisticated drones, I'm sure. Listen, think of the flying saucers of the 50s and the UFO sightings. They all look the same. And now you look back at it and it looks just like a basic military kind of like science project. I think that governments have sophisticated technology that we couldn't even conceive of, that they probably, use at times. But I think this really actually is a drone. There's a company that just announced that they're going to start to deliver food by drone. So I think just people are not familiar with this sort of reality. Lots of things are going to be delivered by drones now.
Okay, so the other weird thing I saw that I thought was interesting is they said there was this big, same type of thing happened where people saw flying things in like the late 1800s. And they thought it was aliens and everything. And the theory is behind that is shortly after the airplanes were invented.
Exactly.
And so they said what they think is that these images, whatever they were put out there to make society get used to flying won't be scary. One day we'll be flying.
Right.
So in watching this, I was like, maybe this is to make people get used to the fact that in a very short time, I might be able to get into a one-person drone plane.
Probably.
And fly to La Quinta by myself in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I am totally down for that.
Right. Well, I'm down with just getting my food delivered by a drone right now, here and now. So yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know if it's ET. Okay, have you heard what happened to the Huck Tuah girl?
No.
Well, she announced that she was going to have her own, Bitcoin.
Okay.
Is Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, that's all the same thing, right?
I don't know. And by the way, I feel like I've watched 4 documentaries on crypto and Bitcoin, and I'm still confused. I still don't totally understand it. And by the way, I don't think most people do. It's very shady.
I think it's sort of like a Ponzi scheme in that you put some money in, you see it, it looks like you're getting more and more money back. So you put some more in, and then it's all gone.
Yeah, I mean, look at Real Housewives in New Jersey, or New York. You have a couple that had Bitcoin, and then he sold it off. I don't know one person that's been like, I'm killing the game in Bitcoin. Do you know anyone that's been successful in Bitcoin?
No, and then I also remember so this week is Art Basel.
Yeah,
and I remember a couple years ago I was talking to Ali Shapiro, Jill Zarin's daughter. Mm-hmm. And that was when people were buying NFTs.
Right, which is the stupidest.
So where is that now?
It's like, no one. Gone, baby, gone.
The art and NFT thing is gone.
I think that's gone.
Okay. So with this, she's like, I got a hot Tuah coin or whatever. And it like exploded. And then it went down like 90% or whatever. So, but in doing it, whatever the company was, made a lot of money on the exchange fees of buying and selling and buying and selling. That's where they made the money. Mm-hmm. Just like if you were to buy a ticket to Live Nation, there's a transaction fee.
Okay.
So even if you don't go, or even if you sell it to someone else, they still got the initial whatever, $8. Right. Okay. So that is how I understand it. And so now it's down to nothing. And some people were saying, oh, what she did was illegal and she could be in trouble. And other people say it just makes her going to be get canceled. I feel like no one can remember anything from yesterday. So she was probably fine this week.
She's fine this week. She's fine. She'll be back next week. She'll write a book. She'll be fine. Does anyone know her real name? Is that for the rest of her life she'll just be referred to as that? Does she have to change her kids' last names to fit that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
But I think but I mean, she's got a podcast like anybody else and just and doing fine in life. So what is your approach to gift giving? Are you one of those people that got it done in July, you've got it set, things are wrapped, you're organized, you have it hidden, or are you like me and thinking about it right now? Well, is there a better shopping gift than giving people great hair? Way is making it so easy to give way better gifts this holiday. Their hair and body products are specifically designed to customize a routine that works for you and personalize a gift for everyone on your list. Give way better gifts with the best sellers. I love their detox shampoo because I use a lot of products in my hair. Also the hair oil. That is so good for everybody. It is nutrient packed. It absorbs quickly. It keeps color from fading. I just colored my hair and revives damaged hair easily. And everybody has damaged hair, really. So get on your way to save for the holiday. Go to TheWay, TheOuai.com for 15% off site-wide and enter promo code JUICY. That's TheWay, TheOuai.com for 15% off with code JUICY. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Let's talk about it. This is really everyone's favorite show.
Yes.
Everyone is thoroughly entertained. Every character on it is bringing it. It really did have a very funny episode. Meredith was going to have her bat mitzvah, and she never got it when she was 13. And so she's very small Jewish community in Utah, but she's going to have it. And they have this beautiful day out in the snow, and she's doing her thing. Haruk tata, I'm not Jewish, so I don't want to sing all the stuff. And it's so entertaining because then Mary, who was once the church leader who has abandoned her church and now is beloved by every housewife fan, she comes and she's like, and he really is authentic. Like she's really looking through. She doesn't know that it started. She didn't know that it started. She's trying to get in, and the people in the audience in the pews see her, and that was really funny. Then after it, they have this great moment where this girl Angie, who's actually got the head, she's in the middle. She's having a problem with this new girl who's actually not featured. I guess she's just a friend.
To her great dismay, because I feel like she was the lead in the high school play, and
she's a singer. Her name's
she's
Brittany.
been living on the fumes for
and she's
all
been
years.
Dating Donnie and Marie's nephew,
right?
Osmond,
Jared Osmond, the great performer of our time that no one's heard of.
Jared Osmond is the John Jansen,
for sure,
Harry Dubin
of Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Right.
And she's really trying to draw attention to herself. But you know what? That's what you need. Like, if you're going to be on the show and you're going to put a cold mic pack on you, bring some attention to yourself.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's this other girl that, they've cut out, like, we barely see her at all. And she's just always like, are you okay? And she's pretty and we'll never see her again.
My friend who was up for it said that I think they thought she was too boring. Like, she looked like the great package, but then didn't deliver once they start filming.
Yeah.
So that happens.
So then anyway, so she's has a hair company, and she goes, your hair looks like it has a high body count.
Yeah, high body count.
And I thought, and everyone's like, that is just, there were a lot of like classic, iconic moments. Of course, we've talked a lot about the new girl Bronwyn and her Todd father, husband, whatever he is.
There's a couple moving parts to this episode.
Yes.
Number one, the fact that Mary's late is hilarious because I feel like all the previous seasons are focused so much on being Mormon or Mary's church, and then they all are isolated in this, or they're like brought to this room to go through a Jewish ceremony.
Right.
So it is, the great thing about that franchise really is it goes places where other franchises won't go with religion.
Yeah.
Also, there's a lot of time spent seeing everyone meet Meredith's relatives. Some of it I was like, okay, let's speed this up. The mother her mother did not seem to be interested in anybody else.
But the mother had her voice.
She does have her voice.
Yeah.
But they're all like, it's so great to meet you. And she's like, it is great to meet me. I mean, she just did not, sometimes with mothers are like, great to meet you too. I'm so glad. She's just like, yes, welcome.
And then they had this, the other good-looking son that doesn't want to be part of the show, which was like, oh my God, remember how the Osmonds
My friend thought it was her younger brother. I was like, no, that was his son.
Yeah, and then you remember how the Osbournes had the one sister,
Amy,
that didn't want to be part of it, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, he's Amy Osbourne, and I love it too because there's so many scenes that are like straight out of Schitt's Creek when it's like the gay Brooks designer and Chloe, who's like this pretty blonde.
They're the Beetlejuice couple. They don't fit in there at all.
It is so entertaining, and then of course you have the Lisa Barlow, who's like really. Who's actually out of all the housewives that have tried to sing and have albums, Melissa Gorga, Kim Zolciak, who started it, Luann, who's still doing it. Lisa Barlow actually kind of has a soothing voice.
She does. She could be a lounge singer.
And I just saw her doing like a karaoke and she was like, last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away. Pretty good.
She's pretty good, but she's got that Demi Moore kind of raspy thing going on.
Yeah, it's good.
What do you think about Bronwyn and her husband?
Well, I think, look, she's loving this role. Who wouldn't? Everyone loves it their first year. Even though she's fighting with people really are enjoying her. So she's getting this fame. And, one or two things can happen. Either he's going to let her do it and they go on happily, or some shit's going to go down next season, which will then third season will either be they break up,
right,
or he's just the Harry Hamlin and we never see him again. Like Harry Hamlin and
disappears in the distance.
And Tom Girardi barely were seen after like one or two seasons, like one, and that's what's going to happen. But it's not going to be. She's no way going to quit for him.
No, oh no.
And you know what? As much as he acts crotchety, even a crotchety old fart might like the attention, might enjoy people coming up to them at a restaurant. He actually might like it. Everybody's a thirst bucket when it comes right down to it.
Maybe.
Even crotchety Todd.
The one thing that I kept thinking is the dynamics of the show between the OGs and the newer housewives like Bronwyn and Brittany and even Angie, like who are so game to just do anything to be on camera. It reminds me of like elementary school parents.
Yeah.
Like the kindergarten parents who are like really eager to get involved with the PTA and they sign up for everything and they want to have like the party at their house. But the 5th and 6th grade parents are like, we don't care. Like we're leaving here in a couple of years.
Yes.
Like we've done that. It doesn't make a difference if you work really hard in the PTA. It doesn't get you any like closer to the principal. And that is like the Lisa Barlow and the Heather, like they remind me of more of like the 5th, 6th grade parents. And then the younger ones are more of the kindergarten parents. It's like this, just like elementary school parents.
And Heather's doing fine. It's just, she had such a monumental final scene last year that probably this year, people are like, Heather who? Like, I feel like Heather and Whitney, it's just not really about them.
I think Heather's was probably processing, like, I'm working on a book. I've got other businesses. I mean, if you're you're housewife, you're thinking, like, I have to have catchphrases. I have to do this. Yeah. And they're all just like, yeah, I mean, we've done that. Like, you're going to run circles.
Heather's like, I'm skinny and I love my life.
She's like smoking a cigarette on the couch. She's like, I'm just going to take some time off for a second.
Right, yeah. Yeah, but it's pretty enjoyable. They are
campy,
they are
for sure.
Solid. Now, how are you feeling about Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? What are your initial thoughts?
I don't know who Dorit is. I don't know. Like the person that showed up to film, I'm so confused. Like it just makes me realize I have no idea who she is. She just seems like she's almost like leaning into a persona to secure the position, or maybe she was miserable the whole time and was pretending not to be. Like, I haven't quite figured out who she really is, which is weird because she's been on the show for so long.
I think I really like it. I really feel like, people do change, and she was about to she claimed she's about to leave the show, and now she's there. Now, Carlos
Do you think she would really have left the show?
Yeah, I kind of think people do think like that. I do think they think, I could do something else or whatever. And, I think she's glad she stayed. And and so Carlos King has said he is a friend of the show. He has his own show. You know him as well.
Yeah.
He also was a producer on Real Housewives of New Jersey and Atlanta, and now produces his own reality shows with women. But he says that he heard, or whatever, allegedly, that their breakup is a storyline. And the argument would be that's why they haven't told the kids. Because he's, 2 years ago, whatever, he was gone for 75 days in London. So they're used to dad not being in the house.
Right.
And I'm sure they don't watch the show. They're not online. They're not reading tabloids. So what would they know?
I think that's kind of absurd, though.
I think it's absurd.
We're not going to tell the kids, but we're on a reality show, and kids have access to social media. And
You think it's absurd not to tell them?
Well, I mean,
yeah, they might know now, though. You don't know.
Eventually, it's going to come out.
She's just saying, as they were filming, they hadn't told them. We have to think about that. I don't know if she was to walk in right now, if she was like, no, now they know that we're taking some time apart. But while they're filming, which was like a year ago, she says no, they didn't know.
I know, but you're still filming a reality show.
Yeah.
Things are going to trickle back to your kids, and I would hate for my kids to find out that before me.
And so anyway, I don't believe that anyone. There's two schools of thought. If you're someone who believes that you're not totally sold on what happened with the robbery, which is a lot of people, then this wouldn't be a far-fetched thing to think that then this also was something that they staged. To say, we're not getting along, let's really take some time apart. But I also don't believe that you're so close that you're like, okay, secretly come over and fuck. I don't think you're fucking. I think you are at a place where maybe you don't hate each other, but I just don't believe that you're going to sit down and go, I think that it happened. They broke up, but I think in it, they're like, and you know what? This is good fucking juicy TV. If all of a sudden I was on a reality show and something happened in my marriage, I'd be like, the lemonade is... I'm going to let you guys see it, and it might help someone. And if we find our way back, great. And if we don't, I don't really care. I'm getting
what did
paid.
You think about
and I'm
her
interested.
talking about him being an alcoholic? Like, I thought the delivery of it was so strange.
I think it's the same way that like Tamara kept bringing up that Shannon Beador is an alcoholic. It's like, and it doesn't get well received when someone's pointing. You're an alcoholic.
Yeah,
he's like, I know.
The way she delivered it was
especially when
so
you're saying
weird.
it to somebody that's already admitted it.
Right?
Like,
yeah.
I'm already admitting it. Whether Shannon Beador is totally sober or not, or he says I have been sober this many months. We don't need you to keep saying it because the person said it.
Yeah.
It's not like you're in a shelter. And you're like, I'm at the shelter because you don't realize that I am living with a raging alcoholic. And then you're like, oh my God, charming. No.
Yeah.
She's like, no, he was sober for all these months. Then we separated. And I'm just reminding you that. But sometimes you because she's probably seeing that people are liking him and enjoying him. They're enjoying him even more as sober delight.
I interviewed him once. I liked him very much.
Sober delight PK. And so she's just like, well, don't like him too much. Let me remind you, there's a lot of things I didn't tell you the first 4 years or whatever.
But isn't that so true of couples? Like when they break up?
Yeah.
And you have like friends that break up and you're like, oh, I'm just so sorry that didn't work out. Oh, really? Well, let me tell you. Like this guy's been an asshole. Or she's actually a nightmare.
Do you remember your Christmas party last year?
Remember what happened? Yeah.
No, I don't.
Well, we fought in the car. You didn't know that, did you? Yeah. And by the way, they hate you. They hated you the whole time.
Oh, yeah. When they're like, he didn't want me to be your friend.
Yeah, never.
So I don't know why you think he's so delicious.
And I stuck up for you, and now you're sticking up for them.
Yeah, I don't know why you think he's so great. No, I don't think he's great. I'm just saying, I ran in from the grocery store, and he was, really helpful. Oh, of course he's helpful to you. Right. You know what? He also never grocery shopped for his 3 kids who I birthed. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's that. I do not... I don't think they'll get back together, is my personal opinion.
I don't think they will get back together, but I think Kyle and Mauricio will.
I think that okay, this is what it's reminding me of. It always comes back to Betty Broderick. Betty Broderick.
This is like
My favorite.
This is, I feel like, the hill you will die on.
I love.
This is the one that lives rent-free in your head more than any other story.
Betty Broderick, to remind you guys.
And I know one of the kids.
Was, you know, the oldest one, Kim, right? Was a socialite, high society, San Diego, beautiful homes. Put her husband through medical school, then law school. And then he got a 19-year-old assistant, and they had an affair. And then he says, I want to get divorced. And he and the girl move into a house together. And she's got the 4 kids. She's been the stay-at-home mom, and she's fabulous at it. Like, she's that woman that can, like, move in a day, decorate the house, and make a pot roast and all this stuff. And the 2 made-for-TV movies showed all this, which I've seen numerous times. One of the things that happened was she had the 4 kids, and she was like, oh, Dan thinks he can do life without me. Good luck. And once every couple of weeks, she'd just drop one kid off with a suitcase. And he'd come home from work. He's like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, Mom dropped us off. And she's like, oh, we'll see if he can make a tuna fish sandwich. We'll see if he can get his cocky gear together.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? They learn how to do it. And the kid learns how to do it. And all of a sudden, he's got all 4 kids at his house. And the 21-year-old girlfriend is quite delightful and helpful, too. And now she's bitter. And now he's like, well, now I'm not going to pay you any money because I have all 4 kids. So anyway, she loses her mind and she kills them both, and she's still in prison. Okay. But I kind of think that Kyle may have had, not that she's a murderer, but might have had a little bit of like, oh, good luck. And I loved that they showed that part where she's like, oh, well, like, do you even have like towels and sheets? I can get you some. He goes, I got them. And she was kind of like, well, who am I? Like, I think that she...
Yeah, but conversely, she's complaining that she has to do all the things with the house. Remember? And he's like, yeah, that was my life. Like, now I live in a gated community and I don't have to worry about that.
Right. And she's like,
now you know
so
what it's like to do all of those house things.
And also, and she's like, I'm kind of jealous. You're there with, and I have the 4 dogs, which are all like giant and slobbery and everything. And he's probably like, yeah, I didn't ask for 4 dogs. Right. And now, yeah, you're right. It's 4 dogs is a lot. And I'm a dog mom too, but I when you have multiple dogs, it's like, that's a big thing. So you might want to rethink it. And he's like, well, I'm fine coming over and like petting them. Like, they're not my kid. And the Portia's like can drive and come by and have lunch with me. And and then I just take off. And she's kind of like, and now I think whatever happened with Morgan, I'm going to make you love me. And I'm going to talk about that for the rest of my life. It's not happening now.
Yeah.
Whatever their situation is, whether they're still friends or not, it's not an intense romantic relationship, in my opinion. And so, yeah, I think she's kind of like, well, I don't know. I don't know that I want a full breakup now, unless she finds someone else. And they said that both she and Dorit and Teddy were all trolling Kevin Costner.
Oh my God. But by the way, dynamite for him. Kevin Costner's like going to live his best life now with all of these women after him.
Oh yeah.
There was an account today on Instagram that claims that Dorit was outside of Mauricio's apartment. I just don't see it for those two. Why would she? I don't see it.
Well, I mean, you know, they have the friendship, and Kyle was sending the memes or whatever to PK. And I mean, I don't believe that. I mean, Kyle and Dorit, I guess they're cool now, but I don't think what that was exactly what has happened in female friendships, which is why we love Housewives and why women our age watch it, love it, analyze it, do podcasts about it, is because friendships with marriages and this, that, and also friendships where when there is a break, either there is something very common where someone was like, I thought I was more important because you were so important to me. I thought we were a real thing. I didn't realize that you had 10 of me because I only had one of you.
Right.
And so, no, I had 10 of you, and I was okay to like put you in a corner when the cameras aren't around.
Yeah, my husband always says what he finds fascinating about women watching Housewives, that there are so many nuances to it. Like, if he's just sitting next to me and there's something going on in a scene, usually he's watching something else with headphones on. But he'll say, wait, what is that about? And then I'll explain, okay, these are the moving parts. And he's like, how did you even come up with that? they're so simple, but there are so many layers to female friendships. As you get older, lives get more complicated with children and jobs and taking care of parents. And Housewives really is quite special because, I mean, Malcolm Gladwell has a new book out where he talks about in one chapter how roles of women on TV, like even in Cagney and Lacey, remember that show?
Yeah. They
didn't have families.
Two female detectives.
So it's like, oh, they're take charge women, but they didn't have families. So over time, I think Housewives really has done the best job of showing all the layers of being a working mom, raising a family, taking care of elderly parents, the sandwich generation. All of these things have not been shown on other media platforms.
And I think, the reason the fans get passionate about certain things is if you are a woman and you've lived through this.
For sure.
You can see it. And then, they have a lot of gay male fans who love it. But they love it for the glamour and the bitchiness and the iconic lines and throwing the drink and all that stuff. And we get obsessed with, I was rewatching Real Housewives. So let's move on to I'm going to skip over here and then go back. I was rewatching Real Housewives of New York.
Oh, right.
Because on Peacock.
Wait, look at the efficient. I'm totally freaked out.
So this was Ramona and
Mario.
do you remember that guy? Season 4.
Do you remember the guy who used to dress up like a Tinkerbell? He was on Instagram. Like,
what are you
I'm
talking
going to go
about?
like 12 years ago. There are good people listening who know what I'm talking about. A man who dressed up like Peter Pan.
Okay.
And he looks exactly like him.
Okay. Well, I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, Ramona on her 17th wedding anniversary decided to do a big vow renewal.
I remember it.
And it was I think it was the first vow renewals in the franchises. We have had so many since. Shannon Bedore has done it. Vicky Gunvalson has done it. Both are now divorced. Oh, God, I know you guys are screaming them out as you're driving, but there's been so many vow renewals. I think a vow renewal is really lovely, but it should be only reserved for you, your spouse, and like just family, like just your kids.
Yeah, I agree.
I think anything that's a bigger display of that, it's not good vibes.
Right.
Because it's like people are sitting around going, really? Like the amount of times I've heard her bitch about him. Oh, they're so in love.
Yeah.
It's not. It's different than a wedding because at a wedding
by the
you're
way,
like,
if a guy had a party for his 20th anniversary at his job, right, and he invited all of his guy friends to come to the office, like I'm celebrating 20, the guys would be in the corner like, remember we went golfing and he was bitching about that supervisor? It's the same thing.
It just doesn't work because at a wedding, because I watch this whole thing and she comes out and they're all cheering just like it's a wedding because she did it like a wedding, and they're all cheering. But yet they've been married for 17 years. And then Mario comes
17 specifically.
Yeah. And Mario comes out and he's like I'm going to get laid tonight for the first time. Like it was something. And I'm like, with a wedding, you're like, even if you're not totally think this couple should get married, you're hopeful. Right. You're hopeful that they will have a wonderful life together and you're happy to be there and it's beautiful. And like a vow renewal is so like... and that you invite your friends and spend the money.
I think it's obnoxious.
It only should be it should only be on reality TVs. It should never be in real life. It should never happen in real life. No. I have one friend back in the day, it was her 10th wedding anniversary at our church, and they are still married and they're lovely. And they had a little thing and invited a few people to lunch after. And and he surprised her at the church.
Oh.
And the kids watched. Like that,
that's sweet.
I feel like something like that is really cool. But
that may have been a part of that too. Would have been the time where they started to get a lot of free stuff. So maybe she thought, like, I'm going to get a lot of free jewelry.
I think they had to spend, they had to spend it, and she was smart to be like, because in it she goes, how do you hold like renewal thing? I cut my hair.
She was branding hardcore in that episode.
Yeah, and like the True Faith jewelry,
True Faith, renewal skin. Yeah. I'm a renewed person in friendships. Remember that?
Yes, and it was just. Yeah. It's just so, and then it's sad because they got divorced. He cheated on her and they got divorced.
Dorit could pull one of those with like the branding. Maybe like she could pull this whole like I'm a divorced woman thing.
I mean, listen, do I want to see Do I want to see at home a complete renewal of vow? Oh, Lisa Vanderpump did a vow renewal. They're
Did
still
she? I
together.
remember
Yes.
that one.
But I'd love to see it for Dorit and PK. I'd love to see it because it's fun to watch. It's fun
With
to
Boy
watch.
George.
But I'm saying if you were really just going to someone's house who was doing this,
Wait, what if?
and your 50-year-old
what
friend
if
is in like a white dress,
I would
which
die. I would die.
First of all, okay, so when we were doing After lately, which was a show we did on Chelsea lately, that was we shot it like The Office, and it was supposed to, and we were all playing kind of exaggerated versions of ourselves. I was so excited because the finale of the first season was going to be I'm having a vow renewal. And I was so excited because I was all obsessed with Housewives at the time. And I was like, oh my God, and the kids are going to be there. And I'm like, because I was excited to get into a dress and get professional hair and makeup and have it filmed. And then they're like, oh, the network said no, because it's taking us too much out of the office and too much into your like personal life.
Oh, wow.
But like Chelsea and everybody wanted, they all thought it was funny because of course the cast would be there, and I'm so obnoxious. My character is so obnoxious and like da da da. So that I was so bummed because I was already like, I'm gonna have 3 dresses and da 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 da, and then and now I'm like, I would never want to do this.
No.
Unless it's on a TV show, then I'll do it.
Yeah, outside of that, no way. What if PK and Dorit are in a scene where they're, talking about their marriage problems, and then Boy George just walks past singing that song, Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? They don't utilize him enough. Where has he been?
Oh, well, I just saw PK post with him.
Oh, you did? Okay, good.
Some new tour is coming.
Oh, good.
And so, yeah, get ready.
Get ready.
But, oh my God, stop. Okay. What if Carlos King is right?
It was a storyline.
And it is a storyline.
Yeah.
And they are cool with each other. And this gives her a new arc of being the new Dorit of like, you shut up, Kyle. And then they do next season actually fall back in love and have the
renewal
full wedding vow renewal with the kids in it.
Okay.
Boy George performing.
Right. I think that's possible.
Yeah.
Do they do a double vow renewal with Kyle and Mauricio? Well, maybe that's the whole season,
wedding.
is that they're fighting. Oh, it's like renewal wars.
Yeah.
And like David Tutera comes and he plans one of their weddings, and
yes,
it'll be a whole thing.
And then who deserves the renewal more, and like who really is going to make it work, and then everyone has to act like you've made it. It's just such a weird thing to have people be like, I mean, the only time I think is like if someone almost died.
Yeah.
And then the other spouse like really like was there for them, and then those, I just think it's weird that you're standing in front of like your friends that have like seen you bitch and complain for like 25 years. Like it's just, anyway. Okay. So getting back to, this is very sad news. Speaking of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Brandy Glanville chose to post a really sad photo of herself. Brandy was on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills for many years. She hasn't worked in a while on any of the Bravo or any other shows because she was suing Bravo. Her lawyer has since dropped her, so she doesn't have any way to go with the suit. She is not being sued, but Caroline Manzo is suing Bravo for what she said happened to her at the hands, literally the hands of Brandy Glanville on Ultimate Girls Trip Morocco, which we
will never see.
We'll never see. And she said right around that time of these accusations, which she claims it was innocent fun and there was no way that Caroline at the time was disturbed, is what she was saying, that she started to have these adverse effects to her face. And so she said one doctor has said it's some parasite that jumps around her face. Another person said it's some disease caused by incredible stress.
Oh, wow.
And it's just really, really sad. I feel really, really bad for her.
Yeah.
And, and kind of brave that she showed it. And I hope that her showing it will maybe get an expert to help her
somebody will.
And figure what this is. I remember back in the day, she would break out. I remember there were episodes where like she'd be like, I'm so stressed about this thing that I've been picking up my face. And one of the other housewives would be like, stop it. You have to stop. Like, so that she would break, like, so that always been a thing for her, that like her stress would show up in physically.
It's awful.
But it really, I feel
really
like is.
I feel like there will be a doctor that is generous enough to help.
Yeah, and then people are like,
if you're the one that fixed the problem,
it's filler that like went away, and
you never really know unless you're in someone's doctor's office what it really is.
Or a plastic surgeon that can figure it out and maybe dissolve the filler, give her a facelift, do a thing, have her come out looking like Lindsay Lohan. I don't know.
Lindsay Lohan looks great.
Yeah, so good.
She looks so good.
In Real Housewives of Potomac, there's one real juicy thing that's happening.
Right.
There's a new girl, very pretty. She truly, she looks like a Barbie. Okay, her name's Stacy, and she's just like a miss. She probably was in pageants.
Well, she was on QVC.
I know, but I think she probably did pageants before.
Oh.
She's just like that's the most beautiful, like perfect thing, and she's getting divorced from her husband and has a daughter. And she's like, at QVC, I fell in love with this guy, but he's a super Christian or whatever she wants to say. And he's saving himself for marriage. And he's pushing to be, I would think, at least 45, if not 50.
Okay.
Are they trying to tell us that he's never had sex? Or he won't have sex with her until they're married?
Maybe that. That would seem extreme. Being 45 to 50 and never having sex. That would seem extreme.
I don't believe that she's a good enough actress that the two of them got together and thought, here's a storyline. This is an original storyline. There's been 169 housewives.
Right.
This is a storyline we've never seen where a woman is dating a guy who clearly A, is gay, or B, not interested. And he's playing along for airtime himself.
Probably.
And because I don't even think they have great chemistry as platonic friends.
Oh.
Like, he doesn't even really like her. They go to this, he kind of is a dick. So they go to this one party that the other girl has, the professor, who gave up being a professor. Wendy. Because the minute she's got to be a housewife, she's like, fuck grading papers.
No kidding. I get it.
And she throws a party that must have cost $50,000, $60,000. She's throwing this beautiful party for her birthday. Her 40th birthday, which we've celebrated for the last 8 episodes. And she comes there, and this girl, Stacy, and her gay Christian husband, whatever, boyfriend. And he, on camera, he's like, really? You totally ignored me. Like, he's giving her that attitude. And they're sitting at the table, and she's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Not cool or whatever. Like, being like a mean dick. And he's not fucking her. I'd be like, what?
Yeah. It sounds like he likes being on TV.
But without this,
yeah,
she's just kind of like an annoying dork.
Okay.
So, but for this
so she's clinging on.
But this is an interesting, juicy storyline because, Giselle has like faked relationships and stuff. But this one is just, this is a fun, weird one to watch.
So are they going to come back?
I don't know. But, that's the thing. Like, we do, as the women that watch Housewives, we like to see romantic relationships too. Whether they're horrible marriages, good marriages, or a new budding thing. The fact that all of Beverly Hills is single now.
Yeah.
Right? Not one is married. Not one is currently with their husband. No. Every single one
you're right.
is single. The new girl, Bose, is a widow. And she's got a cute daughter. They showed her in a call. But right now they're either separated, single. Yeah, they're all single. Oh. But there's enough going on that I like watching them. But it is the things that get us talking are dissecting like a relationship.
By the way, I think people would want to see Dorit dating, don't you think?
Yeah, I want her to Lauren Sanchez it and get someone real rich.
Well, I'm just like thinking about her on a date because she doesn't listen that well.
Yeah.
Like some of these dudes are going to be like, okay, like it's got to be about me a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? I do think she might have trouble.
She's going to have trouble.
Because she's also not, like, she's so good looking. But she doesn't come off very sexual.
No.
You know what I mean? Like she's.
Do you have friends? Like I have friends that I think they have velvet vaginas because every man they
I call
ever
it a Venus
date,
flytrap vagina.
yeah, they're like every guy they've ever been with still writes them and calls them. They can't get them out of their mind. I don't know.
Some people,
should
I
be in
think,
that category.
some people I think are born with it.
My
And
sister has
and
that.
it's just a natural thing.
Yeah,
And it's not based on how beautiful they are or whatever. They've just got that thing.
got it. Yeah, they got it.
And then I think there's other girls that really are great in the sack and really do, act like the only thing that's feeding their soul is that man's penis. And they can't get enough of it.
Right.
And they know, and sometimes women know to do that. Like they're like, get what how my grandmother taught me,
Yeah.
you get more with sugar than whatever. And that whole thing. And I think some women either were taught it by their mom or they learned it on their own, and it just comes very natural. And
all my mom taught me was never pay for a man's education.
don't pay for it.
Don't pay for it. Like she never gave me advice about
Why would you be paying for anyone's education? That's so
because I
weird
guess she
thing.
had a boyfriend. She was like paying his tuition, and she was like still pissed about it. But she never gave me any advice about like netting a guy or anything. And then when I would introduce her to men, she'd just be like, "I guess he's fine." She's very cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had friends that like their moms, I think, kind of taught them.
Yeah, like kind of
Like a Kathy,
explain
like
the
a
whole
big,
thing,
like
yeah.
a big Kathy Hilton. Like this is how when
Yeah.
I interviewed Kyle, it was a really good interview. It was years ago, and she said my mom taught me to make sure that your home was the nicest place your husband had been all day. And I was like, well, that's that's a lot since your husband's a realtor and in like mansions.
no kidding. Yeah.
The point was, you light the candles, you have
Yeah.
something cooking,
Yeah.
it's relaxing, and you're like a 1950s. Like if you ever looked at those
Mm-hmm.
old-fashioned 1950s, how to make sure you put on your hair and makeup, and you have a martini waiting for him, and
Yeah.
offer to take off his slippers or shoes or bring like all these things, and that's the way you like keep your man happy. Like when
Very
you're a
indicative of the
1950s housewife.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like when she said that, I was like, oh. I never thought of
Which is
that.
probably
but she was,
why she's separated, because she's like, I'm sick of lighting the candles and like making stew on the stove. Like, what are you doing for me?
Yeah.
That gets kind of old after a while.
Right. And then I also think the being sober too. I think the whole
Yeah.
I think when this whole thing of when people get like close to middle age or 50 and they give up this thing that was such a big part of their life or what they did with their spouse, which is having cocktails, drinking, partying, whatever. And one stops and they're like, no, I don't care that you have a drink. But then they have their own like awakening journey.
Well, she's probably thinking, I've accommodated you and your needs for too long, and now it's a time that I do something for myself. Also, her kids are growing up, and there are a lot of people, I think. My sister's a little bit older than me, and I feel like her friends are all kind of splitting now. It's just because my sister's kids are in college now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a time to do it. And, listen, I have friends that are dating that are our age, and they are having a wonderful time.
Oh, there's no one hornier than a woman ovulating or newly divorced. No one hornier. I feel like friends come to me or getting divorced.
I feel
I'm
like people are seeing good
you're
guys
gonna
out
have
there.
so much fun. Or like you're gonna kill the game.
I mean, when I look at someone's like Raya or whatever they're on that are like my age, I'm like, this is good.
Yeah, like I want to hear all the stories.
Yeah. Like this is like, and then there's that new show on Netflix that Michelle Obama is producing. That's like
Later Daters.
Yeah, my friend was watching it, and she's like, "You got to watch it. It's good.
Yeah.
Have you watched it?"
I started to watch it. It's good.
Okay,
Yeah.
I gotta see it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, my sister, when she got divorced, I felt like she was like her life was set on fire.
Like I get why
she
someone
said-
wants
yeah.
to try it, but then be able to bounce back.
Yeah.
Like when we get to a place of like AI where I can just like enter another dimension, and then I could just go and date for just like maybe a few months.
Yeah.
But then I can still come back to like my old life. Like I'm not giving it up completely. And I think when people think that they can do that, like a Kyle, but you
Yeah.
can't. Because someone is going to catch feelings for somebody else. And it's going to be you're not going to come back better because your dick was in somebody else for a bunch of times.
Maybe that's tricky. I was thinking about when I dated, when I moved to LA and I met my husband on Match.com, but one of the dates that I went on, I had the greatest time talking to him, but I realized halfway through the date that he grew up in a cult. Because, you know me, I've watched every cult documentary. So he's like, I have a lot of half-siblings. I've lived all over the world. And at one point I went, did you grow up in Children of God, which was the Joaquin Phoenix family? Was in that and he goes, oh, my God, you did too? I said, no, I've watched a lot of 48 Hours. But then I stayed an extra hour to ask him all about being in the cult. And then, of course, I didn't want to go out again. But I'm like, this could be hard. If you're, like, someone who's a good listener, dating could be tricky because you could find yourself talking to someone way too long who you have no interest in, like, actually moving forward with.
Yeah.
So you have to be very, very careful about your time. Like, you got to give it a short window. You got to meet somewhere. Like, I would always meet at a bar where, like, my friends were next door. So I had, like, an out. You know, like an easy out.
I did it before all that stuff. And I just would say yes so that I could get a meal.
Yeah.
And I got the full meal. I got an appetizer, a salad.
Right.
I would like be starving. Like I'd purposely.
Would you get like a creme brulee the whole game?
I never dessert, but I was very into like an a salad. And then I would never do like a pasta. I would always do like a salmon or like, you know, a steak or something. And then, I wouldn't do like a doggy bag, but I would definitely like, I could like eat a lot, you know? And then I just remember like, if a guy was weird about the salad part, like, oh, you're getting another, I was like, well, this is going to be a problem, but I am going to still order it. So like he's talking about
his work life and you're like, hang on, the waitress comes over and you're like, what are the specials again? Can you run through those a couple more times?
Yeah, I was really about eating.
Yeah. Well, because we didn't have a lot of money back then.
I remember going to like whatever the hot spot was. Like we'd been like Venice Beach or something, hot spot. And it'd be like, there'd be people that there's music playing and stuff. And I'd look and I'd see people eating, like they got dinner, they got a table. And I was just like, one day I'll be able to come to a place like this and actually eat.
Yeah, right.
Because I am just here with only $20 in my pocket.
Right.
I buy my first drink myself.
Yeah.
And then somebody else would buy the rest of the drinks.
Yep.
I'd either give out my number to like date somebody or I'd collect numbers to invite to my stand-up show because I need to bring like 7 people.
Yeah.
And just it was always just, did I accomplish anything tonight?
Right.
And it's just nice to be at a place where now I can just eat and drink, and I don't have to meet anybody, and I don't have to invite anybody, and I already...
Did you ever say that to Peter? I got to tell you, I just want to let you know, I really appreciate the fact that I don't have to ask for numbers to get someone to take me out for multi meals.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, when I'm kind of like, oh, that's exciting. I'm also like, oh, my, that's why whenever I watch like Love Is Blind and stuff, I'm like, I should be more appreciative because all these people are just like, I'll be watching Love Is Blind, like with Peter sitting there and we're like laughing about it. And I'm like, all these people want is to find someone to sit down and watch Love Is Blind with. Like, that's all they want.
That's true.
And I'm like, and I have that. Like, I feel like married people need to appreciate their lives like way more.
And we all exaggerate when we're dating. Like I said, I was spontaneous and I like to travel and cook. Like, whatever. Uber Eats and I'm at home. Give me a break. Like, yeah, you're the exaggerated version of yourself.
On our first date, Peter said, anyway, so I travel a lot for work because he did at the time. And he goes, do you like to fly first class?
What? He said that?
Yeah, he goes, do you like a question, like, do you like to fly first class?
Okay, Tinder swindler.
And I go, well, I never have. And he goes, oh, anyway, you know. And and I always joke how like that was like such a hook.
Yes.
Like, and then our first trip like on a plane was our honeymoon, and it was first class.
Okay. Where did you guys go for your honeymoon?
We went to the Cayman Islands, and I remember like the guy was dropping us off, and the guy goes, "First, are you in the first class?" And I go, "No," and he goes, "Yes," and I was like, and that was pre 9/11, so it was like even better. Mm-hmm. Like it was like real everything, and like it was just anyway. And then my last thing is now with this girl Hannah, who's now the missing girl, who's unfortunately after she vanished for 2 weeks, her father ended his life because he thought she was missing. She has been found. She's in Mexico. This was a really weird thing.
She hasn't been found.
Well, she's been found going to Mexico.
They have video footage of her crossing the border on November 12th or 13th.
Well, here's another weird story from New York Post that came out a couple days ago. The mystery man who spent 9 hours with her before she vanished told investigators that she was a free spirit, but otherwise seemed completely normal, according to the report, the day before she walked into Mexico. He said that she and he bumped into each other outside of LA, and then they walked through downtown LA together and like enjoyed this lovely time together. I'm like, this is the weirdest story. This sounds like a romantic comedy. Also, downtown LA is not near LAX.
No,
so
it's
that
not.
means you met at LAX and then you're like, hey, want to hang out and like look at art in downtown LA? Like, what? This story is so strange.
I think she got off the plane, she met somebody, and I think the scary thing is if you are someone who's wearing a backpack with headphones on, you're a moving target if you're somewhat naive, and if you meet the wrong person, next thing you know, like you're talking to them and then maybe you're not in public and they get access to your phone and they're texting on your behalf or convincing you to do things. I don't know if we're ever going to find out what happened to her. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think seeing her cross the border in Mexico doesn't strike me as like she's trying to escape everyone. I feel like if you didn't take your connecting flight, you may have sat at the bar next to someone and they convince you like, let's go into LA. And why would somebody who doesn't know anything about LA would go to downtown LA? Like it just doesn't add up to me.
Well, I mean, there's cameras everywhere, so she really must have gone on like this weird date with this guy.
Yeah, she went to the Grove. I mean,
Yeah. It's
very
very
strange.
Tell us, Kate, what you have going on over there at Reality Life with Kate Casey.
Well, okay. So every Monday I tell people what to watch. And then Tuesday through Friday, I'm interviewing a lot of directors of documentaries, docuseries, talent on reality shows, anybody in unscripted TV. I'm truly obsessed with people and their stories. So it could be like tomorrow's episode is about NFL football and Hard Knocks. I've got a behind the scenes with the editors of the Dallas Cowboys show about how that show was all made.
You mean the cheerleading one?
The cheerleading one, which was really cool. But then, like, I'll have somebody from Southern Charm. And then every Saturday, I have a Saturday series where I interview people who I think have cool stories. And I started doing that because I was telling more of my personal story. I felt like after 600 episodes, like maybe I should tell people a little bit about me. And I kind of like led people through my story. And then I started just interviewing people that I come across who have like just stories that should be on documentaries but may not ever be featured. So, yeah, I'm always interviewing people. And
So what is something, what's a juicy doc or show that we should be watching?
Okay, well, give me a topic and I'll tell you. Because I literally cover sports, cults, romance, anything. Like, I always say one of my favorite true crime docs is Murder on Middle Beach, which was on HBO in 2010.
I loved that
or
one.
2020.
Is there a new one?
No, but I really liked that one because this young man's mom was murdered and found on the front lawn, and the whole docuseries
And
is
she was like involved in like a shady MLM.
right, and her relationship with her ex-husband.
Yeah, that is a good one.
That's always a good one. There's a really good cult one called Holy Hell. You know this one, where the cult leader was a man named Michelle, who convinced all of these people in the 80s and early 90s to move to this compound or this spot in Texas and like give up all their stuff, and like they would all live together on this commune. But the thing was, he would make them all perform dance routines for like hours. So like you and I, like never having a dance background, would be put in leotards and like practice for hours for a show where he was the lead performer to an audience of no one. I mean, everything
How long
is
did that
insane.
go on for?
Oh, years. And there was one guy named Will, and he had a camera, and he filmed all for years and years and years. So you see
Wait,
archival footage.
where can I watch the Holy Hell?
Amazon Prime.
Oh my God, amazing.
It is.
And what's,
I mean, for cult, I've seen them all. I'm like, that one I can never get over.
okay, that I gotta watch because I've
The
not
other
seen
one
that.
I think you did not watch, but I thought was really good was a reality show on Peacock called Love Undercover. And that was a bunch of major soccer stars in Europe. And they told these American women that it was going to kind of be like The Bachelor. Like, you've searched for love throughout the country. You can't find it. We're going to help you out. We brought in these guys from the UK. So they meet them, and they're all kind of snarky about them. Like, he's not that hot. And he's just a trainer. Like, I've got a lifestyle that I need. And meanwhile, they'll have like 30,000 followers. Like, nothing like totally crazy. What they don't know is they're all international soccer stars. So they're pretending like one pretends he's in construction, but he's got 4 million followers on Instagram, and he's rich. So you see throughout the process where they have no idea. And so the guys are all in on the secret together of like, they all know they're soccer players, but the American women have no idea. So in the end, it's sort of like the guys get along so well and they're so funny. It's sort of like the Golden Bachelor, how all the men get along really well when they're living in like Pottery Barn beds back at the mansion. It's the same thing with this one show, but the hilarity of them having no idea that these guys are really successful. And then when they find out, because they're like, okay, I've got something to tell you. Like, maybe they're breaking up with them.
Okay, those are good.
And some of the women are like, I'm sorry, what? And then one woman goes out with this one guy who's actually a Mexican Olympic soccer star. And the funny thing is they go out in LA to a park. So people are going, Marco. And he's like, oh my God. Like, and somebody kicks him a ball, but he freaks out because the ball's coming to him. And he's like, I can't like kick it up and make it look like. So he like reaches down and picks up the ball with his hands, like just to throw her off. But yeah, these women know nothing about soccer, so it's kind of amazing.
That is good. Okay, now we have some good things to watch.
Yeah.
Everybody, and then of course, follow me, Heather McDonald. Follow Kate at
Instagram at KKCCA, TikTok, it's Kate Casey, Twitter threads at Kate Casey, Reality Life with Kate Casey podcast.
And then go to heathermcdonald.net and join my Patreon and all the good stuff and get tickets to my February shows on the East Coast. And thank you so much. Thanks, Kate.
Thank you.